Well, good morning, everybody. It is our Saturday Zoom property tour. My name is Scott Buckholz. I'm your host. We have Yas Hakan, our co-host. We do these property tours every Saturday morning where we get the honor and the privilege of featuring an investor, sometimes a team of investors from our community. As we're a national community of investors, we love to share with each other, collaborate, learn. We do business with each other, we do deals with each other. But specifically, we really learn with each other. And we're learning the right way through a great platform of education. Today we have Julian Franco on. I've known Julian for, gosh, 8 years now. He's down in the sunny South Florida market. Julian, would you like to come out?
Hey, yes, can you hear me?
We sure can, and we can see you. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for having me, Scott and Jazz.
You're so welcome. We're so glad that you were able to take some time out this morning to come on and share a little bit about your story, kind of about what you're doing, a particular deal you're going to share with everybody, some numbers, things like that. But to kind of kick things off, Julian, like I said, we met about 8 years ago at a national conference. And I remember it, we were just talking about before we started today. I remember it very clearly. I remember going to lunch together. Antonio was there, and a couple other guys were there from the South Florida market, and just building that relationship. And obviously, we've been connected for a long time now. And even though you're down in South Florida and I'm in the Midwest here in Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky, we still collaborate and we still, are connected, and we go to conferences together and regional events together. So, we have a lot of people on, Julian, today that are going to be guests that are kind of checking out the community. They're thinking about maybe real estate investing. Maybe they've already done a deal, or maybe they have a rental property, but they've decided, like, hey, I need to take my game to the next level and I want to build, I want to scale my business. Or maybe I've been really on fix and flip, but now it's time to get into short term, or it's time to get into long term rentals. So let's talk a little bit about Julian Franco, because there's a lot of people on today. Because we were talking earlier, we haven't had you on our tour. Unfortunately, I've been trying though. You agree? I've been trying to get you on, but you've been so busy for a year and a half or 2 years. So if you could kind of kick it off and tell everybody a little bit about yourself, kind of
Uh,
what you were doing before you became a real estate investor, and then what did you come across? Did you read a book? Did you go to a meeting? Did you go to a property tour? What was it that you were like, okay, I want to be a part and I want to do real estate investing? And then how'd you find our group?
okay.
We're both part of a national community of investors. It's always good to share that with folks, what it was about the group. It was, very enticing and um, very intriguing for you to get involved. So I'm gonna kind of turn it over to you for a little bit here and let everybody know about you.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Yes, my name is Julian Franco. A little bit of my background. I'm originally from Colombia. I got here in 1999. Reason I came was not because I wanted to be honest with you, it's because I had to. We were actually running from all the guerrilla situation back in my country, and side note, my dad was kidnapped, so we have to leave the country. So when I got here, I didn't speak the language. I didn't have any money. I didn't have my family support. I studied civil engineering back in Colombia, but because of the lack of resources, I couldn't get involved in that industry. So I started doing the second best thing for me. I was washing dishes for a living during the day. I was waiting tables in the afternoon, and I was taking 9 classes to learn the language during the evening time. So that took me a good 8 9 years probably in that industry. And I remember one day that I had a situation with my dad that requested some money from me, and I didn't have it. So that kind of kicked me very hard. And I said, you know what, I'm gonna have to start looking for something else. I don't want to be a slave in this country. So I decided to start looking for an opportunity in real estate. My family in Colombia, they developed land, so they did pretty well. So I knew, real estate was the way to go. But I didn't want to do, the open house and the driving around with clients and all that stuff. That was not for me. So I started looking for an opportunity to get involved as an investor. And I came across to an ad on the newspaper that says 3-2 investment property for sale, no money needed, and the phone number. So I called the guy, and he said, I told him, listen, I don't have the money, but I'm interested in your ad. So he brought me to a property in Riviera Beach, down in up north in Florida. It was a 3-1 single family home with a Section 8 tenant in place. And the property looked pretty well, but I told him, listen, I don't want to waste your time. I don't have the money. I said, don't worry about it. Let me structure the deal in a way that we can all win from it. And sure enough, he took me to the closing table, and I not only got the property with no money out of my pocket, but I walked away with $30,000 in my pocket. So that was back in 2006, at the end of 2006, 2007. And he said, okay, the mortgage payment is going to be $1,100. The rent is going to, I'm sorry, the rent payment is going to be $1,100. The mortgage payment will be $1,400. So you have more than enough money in your pocket to offset this payment. And just a couple of years, sell the property, make some money. But we all know what happened in 2008, right? So the market crashed, lost my tenant. I was on a waiting table salary. So I couldn't afford it. So that's when I came across to the guy who actually put together the deal came across to the community, to the group, and he introduced me to the group. And I said, wow, this is kind of like what I was looking for. I mean, all the education, the support, everything is there. And that's what I want. So I started getting in depth with the education. I knew that I owe more to the lender than what the market value of the property was. So I started taking the short sale classes. That was pretty much what I got into. And I started, negotiating my own short sales. But that brought me a bunch of deals. It got to a point that, my partner and I, we were handling over 185 files at a time and short sales. So that gave us a very, very good, return. We started, doing what is called a back-to-back closings, short sale wholesaling, and we collected a lot of money from it. So we did pretty well back between 2008, 2011. That's pretty much what the season of short sale was. 2011, the market hit bottom, in my opinion, and I was positioned to start buying rentals. I always knew what I wanted in real estate. I don't want to be a fix and flipper. I don't want to be a wholesaler. I don't want to be a short-term income guy. I always wanted to buy properties for long term. Leave out of the rentals and leave out of the passive income, and get all these tax benefits and all this appreciation. That's what I was going after. So when I had the opportunity, I started buying rentals and rentals and rentals. And I mean, lucky enough, my wife and I will now have 42 doors that pay us rent. And we are in South Florida, we are in Georgia, we're in Cleveland. We are now developing land in the west coast of Florida. And things changed. I mean, from when I was waiting tables, working probably 70 hours a week, making, I don't think, not even $2,000 a month. Now I barely work 10 hours a week, and I'm way over that. So yeah, thanks to the opportunity for this education, for this community, for the support of guys like Scott and Jazz and many other people across the nation that they're available to you. Even though we're not in the same city, we keep in touch and we connect each other. And we help each other. So that helped me a lot to move my business to the next level.
Well, Julian, that's an amazing story, and I'm sure your story has resonated with several people on today. And I think about where you were. You were waiting tables, working 70 hours a week, and something happened. And this is what I think I see so much, and I hear these stories where something happens in someone's life, and you had a scenario, I think you said, where your dad came to you and needed some money,
Yeah,
and you weren't able to help him, and it
correct.
kind of hit you, and you were like, hey, I got to do something different. I'm working 70 hours a week. and then, I can't do anything else besides, pay bills probably. And so gosh, that's, from 2006, you went through these or the '08, '07, '08, '09 time period.
Yeah.
And
I came across to this group in 2007, and the real crash was 2008, and
yeah,
everybody was walking away from real estate, and I was like dipping in. I mean, I was all in, and it was an exciting time. I mean, I feel for a bunch of people that went through a rough, time
absolutely.
economically and personally. But for me, that was a great financial time. So, but yeah, I mean, that brought me so many opportunities, Scott. I was very consistent with things. I was very persistent with things. I was resilient. That's kind of like the advice that I give people who want to get started with this business, because not everything is gonna be peachy. Not everything is gonna be beautiful. It's gonna be up and downs. But if you keep on going, I'm telling you, there's no way that you don't make any money on this business if you're consistent and persistent.
Yeah, being very consistent is so right, so true. And I'm glad you shared again, reminded everybody of that crash. And there's a lot of people on that, maybe didn't experience it from that level. I mean, they kind of remember what happened, but for a lot of investors, like you said, they kind of ran the other direction. They bailed out of their business, they gave up all their properties, and you kind of flourished. And so many people in our community did do that, and we came out stronger as a group of individuals. Now, I wasn't a part of the group at that time, but there's so many investors in our community that were a part of that way back then, that have 1,000 deals, have or 1,000 doors, or they've done 300 flips, or whatever it might be. And you talked a little bit about the education. I know we want to get into this property here, and I'm sure you're going to probably maybe speak a little bit to how much the education has helped you in your business, and with your real estate. And but you dove in, I dove in, and we're learning some of the really best from the best facilitators in the country. And these are folks who have done this business for many, many years, whether it's fix and flip or short sales. You mentioned short sales earlier, and or whatever it may be. There's so many different classes depending on what strategy you want to focus on, or what couple strategies you might want to focus on. Um, is there anything particular in the classes or the education that have really helped you with your business?
Well, I mean, I can't even start naming all the. I mean, right now I believe it's over 90 classes that we have, and I take them all. And I'm telling you, every single class adds to value to my business, and I keep using. I mean, most of the classes that I use is fix and flips, rehabbing. They have 2 days on fix and flips, 2 days on rehabbing. That helps me a lot of my business, which is kind of like 90% of what I do. Now I'm developing land in the west coast of Florida. So we have a class on land development, an awesome class that has helped me with business. Home inspections class. I'm going to show you a property in a minute that I went through. That is a combination of a bunch of different strategies that we used. If you don't mind, Scott, can I start sharing or do?
Yeah, absolutely. Great timing.
All right, let me jump on these pictures real quick. Hold on.
While you're pulling that up, Julian, I do want to mention to everybody that's on today, if you're a guest today and you would like to learn more about our community, about the education that Julian's been talking about, and just learn more about what we do and how we do it, we actually have, right after today's property tour, it starts right at the top of the hour, maybe a few minutes afterwards. It's on a different link. So if you'd like to attend that and really learn a lot more about what we're talking about today, get back with who invited you. Maybe shoot them a text during this property tour and say, hey, I'd like to be on that event after this. And they'll get you set up and get you that link. Go ahead, Julian. You've got your full screen pulled up there.
Okay, so you see it. Perfect. So this is one of the deals that we closed not so long ago. This property is a combination of a bunch of different things. First of all, It was a member of the community. He came across to this property by door knocking. He was actually door knocking and came across to it. So the owner of the property owed more to the bank than what the market value of the property was. So the first actually strategy that we used was short sale. We have to spend about a month and a half negotiating with the bank to discount the value of this property so we can get it. In the process, the guy who brought the deal into it, he ended up wholesaling the property over to me. So it was a wholesale strategy as well involved in this deal. And the property, I got it, bought it, and do a fix and flip. I mean, a rehab, which I'm going to show you what I end up doing later. But that was the initial strategy: buy it, rehab it, and sell it. Let me show it to you. I mean, this property was probably not the desired first fix and flip of many people, but this is what we got. So this
Can
is
you
a,
open, Julian, can you open up the picture? We're seeing like 30 pictures right now.
okay, hold on one
Can you
second.
enlarge in your screen for us?
Let's see how I can do this. Did it open?
Nope.
Not yet? Not yet?
Nope, not yet.
All right, hold on. Let me, what about now?
Yes, we're good.
Okay, cool. All right, so this is the house. The house was in a very, very distressed situation. The roof was pretty much about to collapse, as you can see. It has holes everywhere. And this is the living room. An interesting thing is the owner actually lived here.
Mm.
And even though he didn't have any water because the water was cut off, he couldn't pay it. The roof was completely gone and pretty much to the point of collapsing. And he was actually living there, and the house was full of mold everywhere. Look at this. This is one of the bedrooms.
Oh my gosh.
They had some structural damage. Kitchen was completely gone. He was only, working with the microwave and the refrigerator. This is the situation where this guy was living. So he was an elderly person, didn't have any children, didn't have any family. So what we end up doing is we actually found a place to relocate this guy with the support of the guy who brought the deal and in a church that we connected with. And we end up getting a nice, one bedroom, one bathroom for him. And we move him out of there because, I mean, this is going to be a problem for his health. And so this is the house. There's another thing right here. This is the outside. It has a pool, but look at the way it was. So all the shell of the pool was cracked, and it started to lift above ground, and it was a completely mess. I brought an engineer to see if we can save the pool, but it was pretty much better to cover it than to repair it. This is the pool right there. It was, as you can see on the side, if you see one of the coping side of the pool, it was already lifting above ground, so it was a mess. But this is the property the way it was. All electrical panels had to be redone, bathrooms, kitchen, flooring, walls, pretty much all the studs, everything had to be redone. Let me just get out of this and show you how it looks now. Hold on.
You know, Julian, a lot of people would have walked into that property and maybe not even through the front door, just by the outside, looking at the roof and things, and may have said, "Hey, I don't even want to mess with this."
Yeah.
And then, of course, if they walk through the front door, then they're probably maybe took one step in, two steps in, and then they're turning around.
Yeah, I
What was
know.
your vision? What was your vision on this? What did you,
I
obviously
saw
you,
I saw the value on the negotiation with the lender. I saw that there was a big opportunity to create massive equity because of the way it looked. So since I've been doing short sales for a long time, and I know how, deal with the process and the BPO and all that stuff, I knew that I was going to be able to get a good price for it. In addition to that, I've been doing rehabs for a while now, so I knew how much it was going to cost me, and it was the right decision. It was the right decision. But I can appreciate if somebody coming to this property and say, you know what, this is way too much for me. If I started probably back 2007, I would have said, yeah, this is too much for me. But I decided to take on the project, and this is the way it looks right now. Did you see the video, Scott?
I see a picture of the front of the house.
Hold on, there you go. Why is that?
There it goes. It's playing.
Okay. New landscaping. We decided to cover the pool. I'm going to show you in a minute where the pool was, but we put just grass on it, and we fill it up with dirt, and it came out to be pretty well.
Yeah, and just for everybody that's on with their phone, they can actually pinch and make this larger and fill their screen up on their cell phone if they want. Sorry about that. Go ahead, Julian.
Problem. This is the living room, dining room area that I remember. I don't know if you saw it in the pictures before. The kitchen, the way it was, we replaced pretty much all the cabinets, in granite countertop, new flooring, new baseboards. We put it. I mean, the house pretty much was to be. We had to pretty much rebuild it again, but it turned out to be a pretty good property. This area right here, they had it as a storage, so we decided to open it up and make a fourth bedroom. Used to be a 3-2. Now we turn it into a 4-2 with his own entrance if they decide to rent it out. We're going back to the living room, dining room area, and this section right here that you're gonna see was the laundry room and washer and dryer and water heater, AC unit area. It has a door to the backyard. New bathroom, cabinet, toilets, bathtub, everything. We had an interesting story with this bathroom. I mean, it was something in the plumbing, back the walls was not tied up properly, and when we were ready to pass inspections, a bunch of water came out and kind of like messed up the whole thing. So, but we ended up fixing it up, and we came out on the other side, so that was good. This is the master bathroom with his own bedroom with his own bathroom. I mean, if you see this video and the way this rehab is done, and you see all the rehabs that I do, they're pretty much the same. I mean, that's why it's easy for me right now to run numbers on the spot, because I know how much things are going to cost. Since I use every time the same thing. So I know labor, I know material, because every single rehab that I do is the same. The only thing that I probably change from time to time is the flooring, depending on the area. This is an area that didn't require for me to spend a lot of money on flooring, so I used the most basic flooring ever. But when I'm
what kind of flooring is that, Julian?
This is tile. It's an 18 by 18 tile. Yeah.
And you see, like here in the Midwest, you would not see that really throughout the house. It would be more hardwood or LVT or carpeting.
Gotcha.
And down in Florida, you see a lot of tile throughout the house.
Yeah. Well, since one of my exit strategies is to keep the property. So if I put laminate or wood, tenants are not going to take care of this property the way I want it. So if the neighborhood is not as good as I want it, as I, the desirable neighborhood, I tend to put tile on it just in case if I don't end up flipping it and I keep it. Now I have a property that is not going to have any issues with flooring later, This is the area right here where the pool was, remember? And we end up filling it up, put grass on it, and kind of like make the backyard pretty nice. It used to be filled with, trees and bushes and things like that. We got rid of all that stuff. This is a corner unit. It has one of the biggest lots in the area. So it's a pretty desirable property for the area. And this is it.
Wow, what a difference. What a difference.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Let me show you numbers on this thing. Hold on. All right, you see the picture, Scott?
Sure can.
Okay. So the first intention with this property was to actually buy it, rehab it, and sell it. That was the first intention. But one of the things that I've learned from this group and the education is that you always need to have a plan B, plan C, plan D. Just in case something doesn't come out the way you want it, you already have backup plans to make some money. So the initial idea was a fix and flip, and these are the numbers on the fix and flip. So the acquisition cost was $136,000, and that includes, hold on. That includes the purchase price, which is $118,000, the wholesale fee that I paid to the guy who got the property to me, the seller incentive, we actually pay him $3,000 for a couple of things that were in the property that we decided to purchase it from him, but I mean, it was worth nothing, but just to find a way to give him money legally. So we decided to purchase that and give him $3,000 for his expenses. And the closing cost was a little over $5,400. So that came out to 136 plus on acquisition cost. The rehab cost was $88,000 on this property. And holding cost was $960. That's landscaping, power, water. Selling cost on ARB of the property was around 280. So we put on paper 6% real estate commissions. That's $16,800 plus the closing cost $5,600. So the selling cost was $22,400. So I was into this property for about $247,000, 366. So if you take that from the ARB, $280,000, we were looking at a net profit of approximately $32,000 on it. So that was my first plan, to try to rehab it and sell it. As I mentioned at the beginning of when we started talking, my main goal was always to hold on to properties for long term and rent them out and live out of the cash flow. That's pretty much what I wanted. Yeah.
Could you back up just a second? We had a good question here.
Sure.
You had started off and told discussed with everybody that the individual owed way more than what the property was worth, obviously.
Yeah.
What did that short sale process, in a few words, take a couple minutes? How does that work, or how did that work for you? What did he owe on the property? How much were you able to negotiate down to get you that equity that you talked about?
Great. Okay. So the guy owed, I believe it was 340 some change to the lender. And the short sale is a negotiation with the lender where we show the property conditions, the market conditions of the property, and we submit an offer to the lender based on what we believe the cost of the property is. So we put all the paperwork together, submit it to the lender. They got the pictures, they got the offer, they got all the paperwork that were required to get the process going. It's called the short sale package. And when they got it, we started the back and forth with the short sale negotiators. So they ordered what is called a BPO, a broker's price opinion. They send a third-party person to evaluate the conditions of the property and the market value. So when he goes to the property, I showed up and I start talking to the guy through the property. And he obviously realized that it was not worth anything. It was like land value. So I was very, very persistent when it comes to the price that I was looking for. As a matter of fact, the price that I wanted was $100,000, but they let it go for 118. And I was okay with that because at the end of the day, I knew that I was going to be able to make money with it. So it took approximately a month and a half for the bank to come back and say, okay, short sale is approved. You got 30 days to close. And we decided to move forward and close. On this specific property, I used my money. So we didn't use any private money, any hard money, any combination of creative financing of anything like that. I used my own funds. So I was able to close in a week and help the guy move out and make sure that he was in a safe condition. And we started right away. Okay. So
Awesome.
perfect. So this is the first option. The second option was to do a buy and hold. So I run numbers based on two things: market rents and Section 8 rents. Hold on, let me place this thing. I'm moving. All right, here we go. So the average market rent in the area was $2,100. Section 8 was paying $2,050. I was looking to refi and do a strategy that is called BRRRR. I don't know if you guys ever heard of that, but it's buy, rehab, rent. I'm sorry, buy, repair, rent, rehab, buy, repair, rent, refinance, and repeat. That's pretty much what it stands for. So buying the property, I rehab the property. I was going to refinance at 70% loan to value. That's $210,000. So the PI was $1,127. The taxes was around $1,798 a year, so that came out to $149 per month. The insurance was $1,550. That's $130 per month. Landscaping was $30 every 2 weeks, so that's $60 a month. The reserve, just in case something came up, that's $100. And so I was cash flowing on this property $484,000. So that was my second option. My third option was to create a short-term situation, a short-term rental. So the average price per night on the area was about $150 per night. And there's an interesting thing that in that area, there's a couple of hospitals that are like blocks away from the property. And I don't know if you know, there's an Inter Miami, the Inter Miami soccer team has a soccer stadium about a mile away from it. So these numbers are actually not accurate anymore because when they got Messi, I don't know if you guys are familiar with soccer, but Messi is the big soccer player. Now the Inter Miami exploded here and everybody want to come and see the guy. So the houses around that stadium are way over $150 a night now. But when I run the numbers, was based on pretty much local stuff like the hospitals and things like that. So if you do the $130 a night per 30 nights, that's $4,500 per month, but you take into consideration vacancy. So I was probably going to cash flow $3,150 on that property if I did short-term rentals. Short-term rental is a very nice strategy. We have a 3-day class on it within the group. I fully recommend people who wants to get involved with that take those classes. I took the classes. I like the concept, but I'm more like a hands-on guy. And I'm at this point right now more interested in getting, having a long-term rental than to deal with the day in, day out operating of things. But if you guys getting started and you want to look into short-term rentals, this is a very cool strategy. The fourth option was to actually finance it myself. So create what is called a seller finance. This is another class that we have within the group. Jeff Armstrong is an incredible guy. I talk to him often, and he's a good friend of mine. And he helped me create a couple of ideas on this. If they come out with a 20% down payment, a 7% APR amortized for 30 years, they have to put a 20% down payment, $56,000. Payment came back to $1,490. Taxes is $149, insurance $125. So I was getting a PITI of $1,764 on this note. Second option was to put a 10% down, 7% APR, 30 years amortized with a 5-year balloon. So that's $28,000 that I was getting immediately. The PI was 1676, the taxes 149, insurance 125. So the PITI, principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, is 1,950. So this is pretty much the four options that we had planned before. You know, every time when I sat up and said, okay, let me analyze this deal, this is what I came up with. The real thing that what I ended up doing was what I told you. I just got the property, rehab it, I refinance it, and now I have a Section 8 tenant in place. Section 8 actually increased the voucher values, and they are paying way more than regular rental values right now. So I'm taking full advantage of that. You know, tenant is happy, I'm happy, I'm providing housing for a low-income family, and I think it's a win-win situation for everybody. So that's the numbers, Ken.
Well, Julian, those are some amazing strategies, and you're absolutely right. Multiple strategies is the key. And you shared there at the last one a couple options on the seller financing, which has become very, very popular. And I know there's quite a few people across the country and in our community that are really tapping into that. I know that me and a couple of my partners, we're actually doing one of those as well at this time. And we're looking at doing more of them with some of our properties. So, you talked about so many different strategies from the, originally this was found through somebody within the community. Is that correct?
Correct. That was a community member who brought him in. So if I wasn't part of this group, I couldn't have found this property, because this property was brought to me thanks to the network created in this group. And believe it or not, nowadays I don't even market for real estate. Most of the deals that I do nowadays come from within the community. So it's a blessing. It's not only what you're going to learn from the education, it's the connections that you get, the network that you create. That is the value of it. I can't stretch that enough. I mean, the fact that you're connected with powerful people and people that are go-getters, the people that provide resources, people that are there, that's invaluable. So he brought him in. He was doing all the legwork. You know, that's what he does. He does wholesaling. He does a bunch of marketing to get deals. This one was actually doing a door knocking, and he came across to this deal. And so, but yeah, as you said, it was a combination of a bunch of different strategies. We pretty much, the first thing, we have to do a short sale. So on the curriculum that we have 2 days of short sale that will teach you from A to Z exactly what you need to do. Once the short sale was done, the guy wholesaled the property to me. That was another class that he took from the curriculum that taught him how to do the wholesale transaction, and he wholesaled the property over to me. My initial strategy was fix and flip, which is 2 days within the curriculum. And this is the fix and flip is just the way we see it is more like, cosmetic stuff. So when you get into a project like this, it's more like a rehabbing. So we have fix and flip day 1, day 2. We have rehabbing day 1, day 2. So if you just want to actually get into bigger projects like this, you need to get involved with the rehabbing class. So I had to take those 2 classes, fix and flip, rehabbing, to make sure that everything was done properly. In order for me to create the exit strategies, I had to know what I was doing. You know, I took the the short-term rental class and make sure that I was doing my market analysis properly, so the numbers were right. On the buy and hold as well. I mean, we have 2 days of buy and hold, and that taught me how to actually evaluate numbers and find the right, the Section 8 numbers and market rent numbers and things like that. And seller financing as well. We have 2 days of that. It teaches you how to actually become a bank. And if you understand how banks work, believe me, every single person in this chat room would like to be a bank. That's why they don't invest in real estate. They lend money, because they make more money like that. So by you creating notes, you become the bank, and you make twice as what you could make if you actually sell it outright. So yeah, there's a bunch of different strategies that we had to use, Scott.
Well, I'll tell you what, Antonio, this was, and I said Antonio, I apologize. That's one of your partners, Julian. I mean, not having you out for the last couple of years, I'm so glad you were able to come out and share all this information. This has been an extremely powerful property tour, and obviously, you've really laid several golden nuggets for everybody here. As we wrap up toward the end of the property tour today, what would you like to leave everybody with as far as, any advice? Or again, we've got a lot of people on today who are looking at the community, looking at getting involved in real estate investing, diving in and really becoming knowledgeable through the education. How would you like to leave everybody today on the property tour?
Well, Scott, I mean, what I can tell people is that if you're serious about real estate investing, this is the place to be. This is the community to be part of. This is the education that you should be taking. And look at it this way: if a guy who came from a different country, who didn't speak the language, who didn't have any business background, who was waiting tables for the living, was able to create the legacy that I have created for me and my family. I think everybody in this chat room can do the same, even bigger stuff. I mean, and believe me, I'm a baby in this business. People that probably do business with are years ahead of me, and I'm okay with that. I mean, I'm still growing, I'm still learning, I'm still expanding, and don't ever stop your process, because some people, they just do one or two fix and flips and they know it all. And I don't do that. Just open yourself up to the opportunity to learn more, to connect with more people, to grow, to keep learning. And that's my advice. Don't stop your journey on growing. And probably you're already a multimillionaire, but you can probably help some other people get to that point. So that would be another step in your life. So just don't stop growing. That's my advice.
Well, Julian, again, thank you so very much for coming out today and sharing your story and talking about, your business and obviously sharing this deal and what a transformation you made in this property. And, I also believe you mentioned the number earlier. You and your wife have 42 rental doors right now, and which is fantastic. And it's kind of fun to hear you say that you're still kind of a babe in the business.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so again, for everybody that's on today, if you're a guest and you'd like to learn more about our community, about the education, about how seller financing works and different things like that, you want to plug in after this tour. We do what we call an intro or overview to the community, and it's at a different Zoom link. So get back with whoever invited you, and they'll get you set up and get that over to you. And that starts, right at the top of the hour, maybe 5 after. And again, Julian, thank you for coming out and taking time out of your day. We'll be back next Saturday, and we'll be over, I believe, in the DMV area, the East Coast there, and we'll have a great property tour for you there. For everybody on today, have a great weekend. Julian, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Look forward to seeing you soon.
See you soon. Thank you.